I saw mute. So somebody let me know if I was muted that whole time. Okay. So we spent the last 2 days breaking down why accountability is so difficult. On Monday, we explored the stories and beliefs that shape our resistance. Yesterday, we unpacked the triggers that accountability brings up in us. Today, we're diving into the real obstacles that keep us stuck, both internally and externally. You guys, are these roadblocks permanent? Or are they just excuses really keeping us from stepping into the best versions of ourselves, you guys? Okay? Who this session is for? This session is for people who know they need accountability but struggle to follow through, right? For those who keep hitting the same barriers, um, keep hitting the same barriers, knowing the same barriers when they're trying to create lasting change. Anyone who has felt like they're trying but never making real progress, and people who feel overwhelmed and frustrated by their own resistance and accountability, you guys. Okay. Our powerful quote for this morning is: obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goals, you guys. We had this before. Obstacles really are those frightful goals that we see when we take our eyes off the goal, which really means just stay focused, right? And accountability is a way that we stay focused on our goals, you guys, or just stay focused on what we want to be doing, how we want to be doing it, how we want to be show up. Why this quote? Because obstacles are not stop signs, you guys. They are there to really test your commitment. You know, if you focus on your problem, you will never see a solution, right? If you shift your perspective, though, obstacles can become stepping stones, you guys. So I want you to reflect on this question. What's one obstacle that has been keeping you from being fully accountable in your life? What's one obstacle that has been keeping you from being fully accountable in your life, you guys? Okay. All right. So Jason is an entrepreneur that I work with. Okay. Um, he kept blaming time, right? He kept blaming time. When he was trying to grow his business, right? He kept blaming time, and he always felt like he just didn't have enough time, right? And I always say time is our most valuable asset, but he felt like he just didn't have enough. He told himself, I'll focus when work slows down. It's not my fault. I'm just too busy. I'll start when I'm in a better place. And one day I just had to ask him, if time really the issue? Or are you avoiding accountability, right? Jay had to be honest. His obstacle wasn't really time, you guys. It was really fear. Okay. It was really fear. He wasn't ready to take responsibility for his own success, you guys. He wasn't ready for it. And once he stopped making excuses and took ownership, everything really changed. So once Jason really got honest, right? Got honest that, you know what? When I stop making these excuses, when I stop saying, once stuff starts slowing down, once this, and I really get honest and say, I'm really just scared, and all these excuses that I'm making, they just really allow me to not do the thing. Once we got honest, guess what? We removed that obstacle. Now he could take ownership. Once he stopped making excuses, he took ownership for everything, you guys. Listen, obstacles aren't always what they seem. Sometimes they are the stories we're telling ourselves that's keeping us comfortable, you guys. So what's one obstacle that that you've been using, right? And once we remove that, right, we can once we remove that obstacle, we can put the accountabilities in place, right? So that you can get what you want. Yesterday, I told you the story about the guy that I was talking to, and the obstacle was this very small obstacle about, yeah, once I learned how to save my money, right? Once I learned how to save my $100, right? Um, then I'll start to do it. That was a very small story that was creating a big impact in his life, though, right? Because he didn't notice it. But that one small obstacle, that one small story that he repeated for the last 20 years was really stopping him from what? Really getting the money and saving the money that he wanted, probably transforming his life, because it wasn't that he didn't have the resources around him. He had he has a viable source that could really help him to save this resource, right? To save his money. But this story of when I be able to do it by myself, right? That's the obstacle. That is the obstacle that's getting in the way. In our conversation, just me saying, hey, you've been telling yourself that for 20 years. Now he was able to feel, oh, I would have to go through this emotion. So what's that one thing that you've been telling yourself, or that one excuse that you've been using? And now we can put the accountabilities in place, you guys. Listen, accountability obstacles are real, you guys, but they're not permanent. The moment you take ownership of them, you take your power back over your life, you guys. This doesn't mean that you don't have to stay stuck. You can really choose to shift your mindset, take small steps, and build support systems that make accountability easier, you guys. Imagine a life where you're no longer stuck, making excuses, or running in circles, you guys. Imagine feeling in control and confident and committed, right? What if the obstacle that has been holding you back is actually your biggest teacher? What if the obstacle that has been holding you back is actually your biggest teacher? Listen, I had a client before who was really avoiding accountability because she feared failure. The moment she reframed her fear, right, she really started to show up differently. I like reframing. I remember one time when I was working, if anybody on this, I'm from Saginaw. We used to have this building downtown, it's the fifth floor. And I had this business center, right? And I used to work with entrepreneurs up there, and I would have them reframe everything. Now, we know that reframing is a temporary, I do want to say this, reframing is a temporary solution, right? It's kind of like we're going to reframe that until we can dig a little deeper. All right. So reframing is just really a temporary uh yeah, it's a temporary solution until we can get to the real problem. Okay. But I am the reframe queen, because I do know if I get stuck right here, then we can't move forward. So a lot of those individuals that I work with, when I had that team, they would call me the reframe queen, because it's like, we got to move forward. We can't stop here. You know what I mean? And how can I reframe this fast enough for us to, or quick enough, or how can I think about this in a way that I can digest it and metabolize it so we can move past it, pin it, come back and see, okay, what was that about, and resolve it. And a lot of us are reframing, but we're not going back and really resolving why that issue came up in the first place, which is why, right, you need the coach, you need the therapist, because we do need to go in and really work on that, you know, like why was that an issue in the first place? But we can reframe it in a moment so that we can get through it. Okay. So I once had a client again who was avoiding accountability because she feared failure, right? So we really need to see why you fear failure. But once we reframed it, right, once we were able to look at it and reframe it, she really started to show up differently. Today, she's built a life where she's never thought that she really thought was never possible, right? Just by shifting her mindset, you guys, right? Studies show that people who has structured accountability systems are 95% more likely, you guys, to achieve their goals. 95% more likely. That's like an A student, right? 95% more likely just by having accountability systems, you guys. And again, the whole goal for this week is to get us to realize that accountability is not punishment. Somebody holding you accountable is not punishment. Somebody putting accountabilities in place doesn't mean you're weak, right? It means that you're wise, right? Having a check and balance system only can accelerate your growth, right? And for some reason, though, because of how we've been reared, we don't have accountabilities in place, and the ones that we do have in place, we don't really honor them, which is why we're not proficient or probably even living to our highest potential. All right. So are you ready? If you're ready to really stop making excuses and break through your obstacles, right? It really takes you really committing to a process, because again, studies show that structured accountability systems, and remember those systems are external accountability systems, spiritual accountability systems just like your alarm system, calendars, and things like that. So tech type of systems, right? All of these serves as systems. Um, Friends and family, right? So in your internal compass, all right? So accountability ain't just me holding myself accountable. And a lot of us are stuck because we want to hold ourselves accountable. And you can for some stuff, but some stuff you're just not going to be able to hold yourself accountable for. And that's okay. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you that doesn't make anything wrong with you. It just make you human. Okay. All right, so we know that in the stop it framework, O stands for obstacles, right? And the obstacles really are these barriers that block us from stepping into true accountability. And I really want to talk about the biggest barriers, the biggest obstacles to accountability, both internally and externally. If you're ready to talk about that, put a heart in the chat for me. Put a heart in the chat for me, you guys. I haven't heard from my friends this morning. All right. So the first one is just this fear of failure. All right. What if I mess up? Okay. So people avoid accountability because if they commit to something, and fail, they may feel like a failure, you guys. So, but failure is not the opposite of success when we become adults. Listen, failure is not the opposite of success when we become adults. It's a part of the process. So I know that when we were little, when we failed, that was it. You got an F. You know what I mean? You didn't get promoted to the next grade, right? You had to retake this grade. So there was a lot of like permanency when we were younger. Okay. That's just not true as adults. And we have to reprogram ourselves to not think that way. All right. So failure as an adult is not the same as failure when we were younger. And it's also not the same as failure in sports and things like that. So even failure in sports is a little different, right? In competition, because failure in competition is like more of a, somebody got to lose. You know what I mean? Somebody got to lose, right? And then it's one champion, right? But failure is still a part of that process and that learning curve, you guys. And if we can see failure as a part of the process of me learning what I need to do to become efficient, I think we can build a different relationship with failure, right? Because accountability will never guarantee perfection, but it does guarantee progress, if that makes sense. And so when we change our relationship with failure and we see it as progress, right? If we see it as progress, then I think that we'll be more open to put these accountability systems in our life, all right? Because failure is not the opposite of success, you guys. It is a part of the process. All right. All right. So there's also the fear of being wrong, you guys, ego and self-preservation. Again, admitting accountability or taking accountability for our actions, or admitting that maybe we were wrong, or even sometimes, you guys, admitting we were right and stuff, right? May feel like we're getting attention. It may feel like we're admitting to failure. May feel like we're admitting to a weakness. It may feel like we're trying to be the center of attention, right? Right. So many people tie their self-worth, right, to being right, and being wrong feels like a personal attack. Sometimes taking attention may sometimes when I take the attention and I say, yep, I did that, it may seem like this false humility. I don't really want to talk about me, so I'm going to minimize that, right? But we really have to see these times as growth opportunities. So how this shows up is really defensiveness, right? It wasn't my fault. Blame shifting, They made me react this way, and then making excuses. I had no choice. Okay. All right. And that's more on the fear of being wrong part, right? On the fear of being wrong part, we find people being more defensive. It wasn't my fault. Blame shifting. They made me react this way and making excuses. I had no choice. Okay. On the self preservation part, or just like the ego's need to, I don't know, kind of us playing small part and not taking accountability. Maybe like this I'm trying to hide and really not be seen, so we won't take account for our greatness, because it plays both roles too. I won't sometimes, step into my fullness. I'm playing small in my life, you know what I mean, because I don't really want to change or leave, leave my people behind and things like that. And so we have to also see that on the opposite side as well. All right. Fear of judgment, what people would think. Some people really resist accountability because they don't want to feel exposed, criticized, or judged. So the accountability, so they see accountability as public failure instead of a personal empowerment, right? So true accountability just really means that people who want to see you win won't watch you fail. Okay. Listen, true accountability comes from people who want to see you win, not watch you fail, right? So that's how we can truly start to reframe that, right? Because because I think that when we're focusing on this fear of judgment, what will people think? Then I think that there are people out there that want to see me win. That's just it, right? But a lot of times where our attention goes, where our energy goes, where our energy goes, our attention flows, right? Or where our attention goes, our energy flows. And a lot of us are paying attention, you guys, to what we don't want, right? So what will people think of me? So we're paying attention to the people who criticize us, the people who judge us, right? And so in this thing of accountability, right? They see accountability as a public failure instead of as a personal empowerment. Listen, and I'm saying this softly. I'm saying this softly. When life is about duality. So there are going to be people that just say, want to see you fail. And there's going to be people who want to see you win. In this case, if you have a fear of judgment, right? What will people think? Then start thinking that people want to see me win. People want to see me win, right? And not watch me fail. That's a reframing that we can do to really get through that. And I want to offer you that because I do think that the mind, right? The mind really does have this fear of judgment, right? Fear of judgment and criticism. So the obstacle is that some people avoid accountability because they fear. They fear rejection and shame, you guys. Why? Because if we grew up in an environment where mistakes were punished instead of corrected, accountability may feel like attack, right? So we go into that over apologizing. I'm just a terrible person. I just feel so bad for what I did, right? Really shutting down. This is where you see people just say, forget it. I don't want to do it no more. I'm done, right? And then just really over explain. And I just want you to understand my side. Why can you just never hear me, right? So this kind of over explaining, okay? So in these cases, we just really want to shift the perspective, you guys. Accountability isn't about punishment, it's about growth. And accountability is a learning curve. So each time we get into taking accountability for something, know that it's going to trigger these feelings. And guess what? You're safe. You are safe in these feelings. You are safe when that fear of judgment or criticism comes up. You are safe when this fear of being wrong comes up. You are safe in these feelings, you guys, this fear of failure. But it is a learning curve, right? Because all of it really is that it could be like these control issues. Like, one of the things that I think about when I think about accountability or taking accountability is this threat. And I'm going to talk about it a little later, but right now it's these control issues, right? I don't need accountability. So people who need to control their life really do feel like I don't need accountability. Some people resist accountability because they don't like being told what to do. And they look at accountability as if it's somebody what? Telling them what to do, right? And accountability isn't about control, you guys. It's really about clarity. So underneath accountability is this need to communicate. And a lot of us, because we probably need to develop, I want to say, better communication skills or get clear on what we're communicating, it can make accountability, you guys, feel like a discipline with our tone and the words that we're choosing, right? So they equate accountability to control instead of seeing it as a tool of support. Remember, accountability isn't control, it's clarity. So it's communication. Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Um, if you if you're seeing if you're saying I don't need accountability, in essence you're saying I don't need you to tell me what to do, right? And if you don't need a person to tell you what to do, and you're looking at accountability as a person telling you what to do, then I'm saying you're way off the mark, because that is not what accountability is. Accountability is a tool that's going to hold you accountable to the things that you said that you wanted to do. Either the goals, the aspirations, the purpose, or whatever. And the accountability is there to remind you of that. Okay. Another thing that gets in the way is the avoidance and discomfort of change, right? So accountability forces people to face uncomfortable truths about themselves. Again, you said you wanted to do this. The accountability tool is there. You said you wanted to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The alarm clock rung at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that's the accountability tool. Hey, it's 6 o'clock. I want you to think about that. At perfect, perfect example. I need to get up at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna set my alarm clock at 6 o'clock. I'll go to sleep. The alarm clock goes off. Bum, bum, bum. That first, when I wake up, am I mad at the alarm clock for going off at 6 o'clock? Am I mad at that? Or am I upset because I didn't give myself enough time to rest? Right? Logically, I didn't give myself enough time to rest, right? So I'm going to try to sneak in another 2, maybe 3, maybe 10, maybe 20 minutes, right? Now, if that alarm clock was a person, right? Now, how would you treat that person? And that's the difference in how we treat people when they try to hold us accountable. If the person came to you and said, hey, it's 6 o'clock. Hey, let's go on a diet. Hey, let's save our money. Hey, we need to talk about this problem, right? Then the projecting, the defensiveness that you would give that person, right, would be as if they're trying to punish you, when really they're just trying to remind you of what? This is what you said we were going to do. This is what needs to happen. Da 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 da. Similar to the 6 o'clock alarm clock going off. Does that make sense? Right? And that's where the conflict comes in. And that's where the avoidance of conflict comes in, right? I don't want to talk about it, right? I'll talk about that later, right? So really not taking accountability. Really not taking accountability. Minimizing the issue is really not that serious. Let's just move on, right? Avoiding really the hard conversations, right? Listen, accountability really forces people to face uncomfortable truths about themselves. Listen, growth is uncomfortable. And this is the obstacle part of accountability. Listen, taking responsibility for our actions means acknowledging that we have to change, you guys. Listen, discomfort is temporary, but growth lasts forever, you guys. Another thing is just the lack of support. No one holds me accountable. Okay. So some people really struggle because they don't have the right external accountability supports in place, right? Maybe they're the breadwinner, right? So nobody's gonna hold them accountable. Maybe it's their attitude, right? Maybe the people around them scared if they say something that they're gonna get their head chewed off. again, for whatever reason, no one is holding me accountable. And so my growth is stunted. The person really realized that their growth is stunted, right? So some people struggle because they don't have the right external, accountability systems in place. They don't check in with mentors or coaches or even have growth minded peers around them, right? So if no one is holding you accountable, you must seek out accountability though. That's the thing. If you don't have nobody in your circle because either you're the breadwinner, right? Or people around you are intimidated, or you got a lot of yes men, but you understand that because you don't have this accountability, you kind of can move how you want to move and do what you want to do, but it's stunning your growth. Then you got to be the one now to seek that accountability out. Okay. Lack of self-awareness, just our blind spots, you guys. The obstacle here is that some people genuinely don't realize that they are avoiding accountability. It's just a blind spot. Why? Because they've never been taught self-reflection, you guys. So they don't really recognize how their actions affect themselves and others. That's just it. It's just a blind spot. They just lack self-awareness. And we talked about that yesterday when it comes to emotional intelligence, right? How does this show up? Just repeating the same mistakes. I don't know why this keep happening to me, right? We know that person or even in ourselves. I just don't know why this keep happening. I don't know why this keep happening, right? Playing the victim. This always happens to me. I'm always in these type of relationships. I always meet these type of guys like this. I always get these type of bosses, right? That's the blind spot. Like, if this is always happening to you, then you're the common denominator. Maybe it's you, but it's your blind spot and you can't see it. So yeah, and that would require you holding yourself accountable. This is again the lack of self-reflection. This just is who I am. I'm not gonna change, either due to my age, due to my gender, due to my race, due to the neighborhood I come from, due to my background, whatever it is that you're justifying. This is just who I am. And I'm saying nobody's fixed. Nobody is fixed. We all can learn to become different. All right. So again, repeating the same mistakes, playing the victim, and just really lacking that self-reflection, you guys. The way we can shift our perspective on this is self-awareness is the first step to accountability, right? If you're the common denominator, right, this is always happening to you. I don't know, and you keep asking, I don't know why this keep happening to me, right? Or you always find like this is just who I am. Maybe, just maybe an offer would be you lack some self-awareness and you have a blind spot. And we know what a blind spot is. You just can't see it. So that's not a good or bad thing. It's just a thing that needs to be brought to light. Okay. All right. Overwhelming procrastination. I'll do it later. Many people won't change, right? But when it comes to, many people want to change, right? They want change in their life. But when it comes to action, they just freeze, right? They just don't do it. So they get paralyzed by the bigness of the goals or the emotions that they feel or the possibility of things going wrong, right? So instead of, breaking these big goals down into smaller pieces, or instead of getting a coach to really walk them through the process of how to attain this goal or how to make these changes, right? They'll just keep saying, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Listen, accountability isn't about doing everything at once, you guys. It's about doing one thing at a time, right? It's not about doing everything at once, you guys. It's about doing one thing at a time. Listen, the biggest thing I want you to take away is accountability is truly it's kind of like making sure that the thing that you say you're going to do is getting done either by a system or in some way, shape, or form. Because a big part of the reason we're not trusting ourselves, you guys, a big part of the reason why we're not trusting ourselves, because we're not doing the things that we say we're going to do. And so we don't trust ourselves. And so this thing about accountability is really starting to trust us again. I want to trust me. And how can I trust me? When I start to do the things I say I'm gonna do. And how can I start to trust the things that I say I'm gonna do? Start to do them. And that's just the small things. Just start to drink more water, start to eat a little bit more healthier, you know. And this is why we then can let me break this big stuff down into smaller stuff, right? So this overwhelming procrastination and this I'll do it later, once I learn how to do it, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna do this, and we have these big goals that we have to unpack. We don't have to unpack them, because guess what? The prettier we make it, don't make it any better. We just need to, minimize it, okay? Make it smaller, one step at a time. All right. We lack the energy and accountability, you guys. Really no support system. Okay. We lack the external accountability. Again, nobody just really hold us accountable. So without mentors, coaches, and strong relationships, it's easy just to avoid accountability. We talked about this a little bit earlier. People who don't surround themselves with growth-minded individuals really just stay stuck in the same pattern, you guys. How this shows up, just keeping the same circles. I don't need new people in my life, no new friends. Avoiding feedback. I don't need your advice. I'm just here to talk to you, but I don't need you to tell me what to do. And then no personal growth systems, you guys. I'll just figure it out myself. I don't need your feedback. This is huge, right? We keep the same circles, no new friends, because we don't trust people. Avoiding feedback. I don't need your advice, right? I don't need nobody telling me about my life. You are the expert of your life, but there's something called objective view and subjective view. When you're the subject of your life, there's something called confirmation bias, meaning by nature, you're going to be biased to yourself. It's a natural thing. Your brain is just going to confirm bias to you. Okay. So you need an objective view of your situation. That's why in a court of law, right, they have jurors. What are those jurors there to do? They are there to be the objective parties, and they try to make sure they're objective as possible, even though we all have a little subjectivity to us, right? So they're asking them questions to make sure that we can get this person as objective as possible. But of course, the person I'm defending, I want them to be what? Subjective. So if I have a woman, I want more women, right? Because I want the subject to be close as possible. The point I'm making is that the fact that you don't need anybody advice, or that you can make advice on your own, when you have confirmation bias, you're already biased, and you need the balance in your life. And that's where accountability comes in. Listen, accountability is not about blame. It's about empowerment. Every obstacle to accountability is a mirror, really just showing you where you need to grow, right? And the moment you start resisting accountability is the moment you take control of your life. All right. All right. If that made sense, put a 1 in the chat for me. If that made sense, put a 1 in the chat for me. All right. We're going to go to our biblical twos this morning. Listen, James 1 and 12. Okay. James 1 and 12. This is about the power of overcoming obstacles. The power of overcoming obstacles. James 1 and 12 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." All right. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trials, having stood the test. That person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. What does this mean? Obstacles are not here to break you guys. They are here to build you. Okay. When accountability feels hard, remind yourself, I am being strengthened, not punished, you guys. Many people see accountability as a burden, but this verse really reminds us that trials, including accountability, really refine us, you guys. Standing the test equals growth. When we take responsibility for our actions, right? We build character, resilience, and really spiritual strength, you guys. The reward of perseverance isn't just external blessings, you guys. It's this internal peace that we're all looking for. So confidence, it's this internal peace that we're looking for, this confidence, and truly this self-respect. Okay. God isn't outside of you waiting to punish you. I'm going to say that over and over again. God is not outside of you waiting to punish you. He is within you, strengthening you as you push through your challenges. The discomfort of accountability is like a spiritual workout. Like, it's stretching you, but ultimately you're getting strengthened, you guys. So avoiding accountability is really keeping you stuck. Embracing it will help you really to move forward. So I want you to ask yourself, where have I seen accountability as punishment instead of a tool for growth? All right. Right. And then our promise verse is Proverbs 21:5. Okay. I like this verse because I really do. I just really like this verse. The plans of the diligent leads the prophet, as surely as haste leads to poverty. I never say this word. Poverty. Okay. The plans of the diligent leads to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty. Poverty. Okay. Listen, diligence is consistent accountability. Diligence leads to success. If you stay accountable, you will see results. Neglecting accountability, you guys, leads to lack, failure, and unmet potential. Those who rush without accountability makes mistakes that set them up. This verse really refines the small disciplined action that leads to big rewards. Like I said, a lot of us is like trying to make these big rewards. And I am talking about this from experience. I was like the big 7 times, I need to do like great big things. And I'm just realizing like, oh, it's these little small steps like that gets to the bigger steps. And even when we think about it, like just, it is truly the small steps. It's like what's coming up in my spirit is seasoning meat, right? You got the salt, you got the pepper, you got the bell peppers, you got the garlic, you got the onions, right? You got all of these different ingredients that come together, right? That comes together to flavor the meat, right? That's one step. Each one. I'm gonna take a little bit of salt. I'm gonna take a little bit of pepper. I'm gonna take a little bit of garlic. I'm gonna take a little bit of onion powder, right? And then I'm gonna take some bell pepper, and I'm gonna take some onion, and I'm gonna take a little bit of crushed garlic, right? And then I may take some crushed pepper, right? And then, right when I get through with that, then I may drizzle some oil on it, right? But each one of these is steps that I'm taking, right, to build this flavor, and then I may sit it in the refrigerator, let it marinate, right? But each one of these is like steps that I'm taking to build the flavor onto this chicken, right? And then, right, then I'm going to either, roast it, fry it, barbecue it, right? But what I didn't do is I didn't throw a whole bell pepper at it. I didn't throw a whole onion at it. I didn't take all the things. Like, I did it step by step. I did it step by step. And this verse is like listen, God rewards the diligence and intentional effort. And when we think about seasoning our food, that's intentional effort, right? So when we thinking about accountability, that's intentional effort, you guys. When we think about you know like yeah, when we think about accountability, that's intentional effort. And if we can look at our life like, oh, I'm seasoning my life, so like I don't need to do this big thing. I will end up with a great dish. I will end up with a flavorful protein, whatever that meat is, and I will end up with a flavorful green, or starch or whatever, right? By the end, my plate will be full, but I don't have to like do that all in the beginning. It's kind of like I'm building this meal for myself. And so, do I have all the right ingredients first, right? What do I need to pick up from the store, right? This is how we have to step back. This is how we got to step back and really look at, okay, what am I cooking in my life? And then now I got to hold myself accountable to go get the ingredients that I need to make this meal happen for me, right? Because and when we can look at our life like that, you guys, like, what meal am I cooking? And guess what? The meal that I'm cooking this season may be very different. I may be very lean. I may want fish, this season of my life, which may look like, I don't know, friendships. I don't know what fish looks like for you, but then like I may want a healthy, hardiness next season, right? So whatever it looks like for you, good morning, Miss Jackie. Whatever it looks like for you is what it looks like. But what I guess the point I'm trying to make is, when we step back, what do I need to make that? Right. And then holding myself accountable to get the ingredients, right? And being diligent in the efforts, right? I'm just not going to throw a whole bottle of a whole bottle of salt on it. I'm not going to throw a whole lot of pepper on it, right? And then giving myself the sense of mastery, right? So success is not mastery. It's a product of consistent accountability. So I'm knowing that I may not season this food right the first time, but that's not going to stop me from cooking chicken, right? I'm going to go back in and I'm going to say, that's a little salty the first time, man, that was a little dry. I might call my mom and be like, Mom, what did you put on that meat before? Like, I'm asking questions. See, we can do this with our life. If I can do that with a piece of chicken or a steak or, fish, right? I can do that with me. I can say, hey, I like the way you move, how you able to talk like that? Like, hey, I like the way your arms look. I like this, whatever. Like, what are you using? Like, what is your workout regimen? I'm gonna tell you, my brother, he works out. I'm like, he do meal prep, and I'm asking him because I really want to get on this meal prep thing. Okay, tell me again, what do you do? He like, on Sunday I do this, and I need to hear that just a little bit more so I can like get on this meal prep regimen, right? So it's like these small steps that I'm gonna take so I can get into this meal prepping, right? Because it seems like something I want to go into. If that makes sense, put a 2 in the chat. Listen, if we plan to fail, if I fail to plan, stay accountable, I will struggle unnecessarily. Okay? Listen, if I fail to plan and stay accountable, I will struggle unnecessarily. What does that mean? Listen, success is not about mastery again. It is a product of consistent accountability. All right? I think I was waiting for you on the wrong link. Oh, it's okay, Miss Jackie. Okay. Okay. So listen, again, making this practical. Many people think that success or failure is about luck. It's about talent. It's about external circumstances. But listen, this verse really reminds us that our results are a reflection of our diligence, you guys, or lack of it. Okay. It's a reflection of our diligence or lack of it. The God in me is not outside of me waiting to reward me or punish me. Instead, God's wisdom is already within me, guiding me with diligence, with discipline, and with accountability. If I follow through and take responsibility, I'll see results. If I rush, avoid accountability, and take shortcuts, I'll struggle. My life is a reflection of my level of diligence and accountability, right? So I have to ask myself, where am I expecting rewards without putting in the real effort, you guys? And where are you expecting rewards without putting in the real effort? Okay? Listen, this verse is really about 2 paths of accountability. The first path is about diligence and accountability, which this verse says will lead to success. This is the promise. The plans of the diligent leads to profit. Okay? Listen, the plans of the diligent leads to profit. This means that when you consistently show up for yourself, take responsibility, and stay accountable, you will see progress, right? Success, you guys, isn't random. Whatever the success is, if we're talking about financial success, if we're talking about success in our health, in our finances, in our relationship, right? That's not just by random happenstance, you guys. Success isn't random, it's built with intentional planning and disciplined execution. All right. If you commit to accountability in your health, in your finances, in your relationships, right, you will see a positive change over time. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may take, I don't know, but you go see a change because it's law, it's a promise. Okay, it's a promise. All right. All right. But listen, the other part that this verse is saying is that haste leads to poverty. Poverty. Like I want you to know what the word is, because I may not be articulating it right. And it's not that I don't know what it is. It's just that some words I just don't roll off my tongue the way that they should. All right. So haste leads to poverty. Okay. So avoiding accountability, making impulsive choices, and refusing to follow through leads to unnecessary struggle, you guys, and setbacks. Listen, someone not taking responsibility for their mistakes will continue repeating them. Someone not taking responsibility for their mistakes will continue to repeat them, creating a cycle of failure, regret, and lost opportunity. This is one of the most powerful is demonstrations and promises. Listen, if you show up and you do and you're diligent, these small steps will turn to big ones, right? But if you lack accountability and haste and don't do stuff and wait till tomorrow and not address it and continue to put off to tomorrow what could be done today, it will lead to poverty, emotional poverty, right? Spiritual poverty, mental poverty, right? So we're not even just talking about finance, but we do know that a lot of those poverty ridden states, right? Because when we think about poverty, we think about finances, but we know that there's a poverty mindset, right? This is where we have like a scarcity mentality. Again, back to it's only eight pieces of it's only eight pieces of there's only eight pieces of pizza, and I'm trying to figure out how to make these eight pieces of pizza work out for me, right? Not realizing that God didn't even create you to figure out how to make eight pieces of pizza work out, because he know that it's more pieces coming. But because you move in haste, and because you don't know how to extend your faith and don't really know how to work in divine, and because there's nobody really holding you accountable, and because you're trying to figure out by yourself, right? Yeah, like you trying to figure out how to make these eight pieces work out and not really realizing like, oh, it's more. Like there's more pieces. That's the poverty mindset. Like, how can I make this work? I want to do that, but I don't really know if I could do that. Right. So this poverty mindset is really stopping a lot of us, right? And it's creating a cycle of failure, a cycle of regret, and really making us have these lost opportunities. Okay. And many people struggle with accountability because they want quick results they want quick results without effort, right? This verse reminds us that success is a product of planning, patience, and accountability. Listen, I'll start when I feel ready. Listen, that lack of consistency, no progress. Listen, lack of consistency, no progress. I have time. I don't have time to plan. I just need to act. No accountability. Listen, now you're going to face some unnecessary struggles, right? And I shouldn't have to work this hard. This sense of entitlement, right? This sense of entitlement, you guys, which you're going to talk more about tomorrow. Just this missed opportunity because we feel like we shouldn't have to go through the pain that we're going through, or we shouldn't have to work the way at the rate we're working through, or we just shouldn't have to, you know, I don't know. I shouldn't have to explain it. I shouldn't have to go through this, right? It's just like this sense of entitlement that we have, which really is creates missed opportunities, you guys. Listen, James 1 and 2 really reminds us that accountability strengthens us and lead us to greater rewards. And then Proverbs 12 and 5 really just reminds us that God is calling us to a higher accountability, not trying to shame us, right? And if I want to grow, I must face my obstacles, not run away from them. If I want success, I must take responsibility, not make excuses. If I want freedom, I must stop blaming, and start really owning my journey. Listen, this verse really reminds me that my success isn't about luck, it's about diligence. That the obstacles that we face is not about excuses, they're tests to my accountability. And that, listen, the God within me is really guiding me towards consistency, not chaos, you guys. Okay, put a 2 in the chat if that makes sense. All right, so today's transformational 2. Listen, I want you to name the obstacle that's really getting in your way. All right. Identify the barriers that's really keeping you stuck. Okay. I want you to reframe that story. Instead of seeing it as a barrier, see it as a growth opportunity. All right. And then we're going to take one small step. Okay. One small step that you can take. So what's one action you can take today to really move past that barrier? And in that case, like, what is this? We're talking about accountability. What are you going to do to hold yourself accountable to do that? Right? Are you going to get an accountability partner? Are you going to schedule it on your phone? Okay. All right. And then our challenge is the next time you feel the resistance to accountability, pause, right? And ask, what is this obstacle trying to teach me? All right. What is this obstacle trying to teach me? All right. Our affirmation from today is that I am not held back by my obstacles. I am strengthened by them. I embrace accountability as a tool for my growth, not punishment. Okay. Every challenge I face is shaping me into the person I am meant to be. Okay. And then our daily intention, I will recognize accountability as my pathway to freedom. I'm committed to diligence, release impatience, excuses, and shortcuts. Every step I take is leading me towards success, you guys. Listen, and then your bonus challenge for the next 24 hours. Listen, when the obstacle arrives, instead of just avoiding it, listen, pause and ask, what is this trying to teach me? Okay, for the next 24 hours, do that. Listen, if, if this helps shift your perspective on how to overcome the obstacles that are associated with accountability, you guys, put a fire in the chat and let's celebrate our growth together. And remember, if you can shape it in your mind, listen, you can have it in your life, you guys. If you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. Continue to subscribe to that YouTube channel, you guys. Continue to invite your friends to Elevating Life with Sheila Little. And know that knowledge alone won't change your life, you guys. Action will. So imagine having personalized guidance, real accountability, and a system, you guys, in a supportive community support you. So make sure you join that Project Life, where we turn theory into practice for $47 a month, you guys. Guess what? Tomorrow is energy audit. Miss Melissa said, this deserves a self hug. Oh, thank you, Miss Melissa. Tomorrow is Energy Audit Thursday. We're talking about intention alone isn't enough. I want to see you there. Intention alone isn't enough, you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I will see you tomorrow for Energy Audit Thursday, where we're talking about intention alone. Listen, is it enough? I'll see you tomorrow for that life lesson. You guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow. Till later. Love you.